Hey guys, JP here from Zevo Health, and I'm delighted to be joining you today at Cornmarket to talk a little bit about nutrition, specifically how you can nail your breakfast and your lunch for a healthy energy balance throughout your day. So let's start with breakfast. So ideally we want to have that sustained energy throughout the day. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be running around all day, using a lot of energy, having those highs and lows throughout the day. When we start to see some issues possibly with snacking and feeling of high and low blood sugars. So how do we control that and really balance that out? Well, it really starts with breakfast. So what can we do to build our breakfast so that we're sustained? Well, the easiest thing to look at is fiber. So we've all heard the importance of fiber, but not many people actually hit the recommended amounts that we're meant to be having every day. So the recommended amounts are between 25 grams to 35 grams. Firstly, I prompt you to have a look at your diet, test yourself out, and start to write down actually based off what you're eating every day, how much fiber you're actually taking in. Fiber is really important for slowing that digestion down and really sustaining you. If you're not getting enough fiber, we end up eating a lot more food. We end up feeling like we are low in energy at different points of the day. So it's really important to start our day with a nice bit of fiber. I don't want to tell you exactly what you should be eating because there's no exact answer for what you should be eating. What I would do, I would pick 3 or 4 things that have nice portions of fiber in them, and that's going to help me balance it out. What I often go for is something like an overnight oats or a bircher. Using oats because they have plenty of fiber, they have a nice bit of protein content as well. They've got nice carbohydrates that are going to sustain your energy and your glucose levels throughout the day. I use something like chia seeds, again high in fiber, high in omega-3. I use something just to flavor it, maybe a little bit of cinnamon, maybe a bit of even instant coffee, a little bit of cacao, all of that with a milk or yogurt of your choice. Leave it overnight. In the morning, it's ready to go. So something like that is going to be able to keep you going and sustain you from the start to the end of your day because of that nice high fiber content. So then when it comes to lunch, we don't need to overcomplicate things. Again, a little bit of fiber is going to help sustain you throughout the day. But what else do we need to be thinking about? Well, I think for lunch and for dinner, it's really getting that balance of nutrients. And how do we do that? How do you create a healthy plate? How do you look down at a plate and say, okay, this is something that's going to keep me balanced? Well, a really nice way of doing it is using your hand as a measuring tool, okay? So when I'm looking at my plate, I firstly think about vegetable content. It's really important that we have some kind of salad, some kind of vegetable on that plate, something with a bit of color. How much? I think a good place to start for most people is about a fist amount of vegetables on your plate. So if you look down at your plate and there isn't a fistful of salad, carrots, something like that, beetroot, I don't want to name off everything, but there's plenty of different things we can have down at that plate. If there's not a fistful, then you're possibly going wrong somewhere. Next up is that starchy carbohydrate. The carbohydrate is going to help you sustain that glucose, that blood sugar balance throughout the day, especially when it's paired with the fiber. So I think a good amount will be a kind of scooped handful. So if you imagine this of rice or potatoes, just pour that out onto your plate, and that's in and about the right amount for most people. If you're really active or you're a larger human, then maybe a little bit more. You can definitely go with a little bit more of the vegetables. And if you're quite a small person, maybe you might think about having a little bit less, or if weight composition is a big concern to yourself. So the final thing is that protein content. So protein is really important. It's the most satiating nutrient. It fills you for the longest period of time. It's also really important for your metabolism. So how much protein should you be having? Well, again, to look at your hand, a good sized portion will be around a palm-sized portion. So if you can imagine that of chicken breast or beef or fish, and all sorts of different things we can use here, that's going to be a great way of measuring out how much protein you're going to need. So the last macronutrient we need to be talking about is fat. Now we need to be a little bit cautious with fat because fat is often found in some proportions in other foods. It can often found in meat and fish. It's often in your salads. So if there's plenty already in there, then we don't need to worry about it. If there's not, and you're having quite lean meats and you're having quite lean salads and vegetables and there's not loads of olive oil and things like that, we can add a little bit in. It's going to be great for your hormonal balance. It's going to be great in terms of the fat absorption of different nutrients. So something like some almonds, walnuts, a little bit of olive oil, some certain full fat cheeses can be a great way of just boosting your little bit of fat content in your meal and really rounding out that plate. So hopefully that gives you a nice understanding. We have our two elements there. We have our nice balanced lunch throughout the day where we're using our hand as portions, and we're also going with our breakfast that has plenty of fiber. I gave you some options, but there's plenty of options out there. Count your fiber, see where you're at, make sure you're in that range and adjust accordingly. Fiber in the morning at breakfast is a really important time. It's going to sustain you throughout the day. So give them a go and hopefully you feel energized and ready for a full active day ahead of you.